the ontological anchor in that definition would be the female sex?
Yeah, I'm also a contextualist, so within the definition that I'm using and the context I'm using it in, of which again is going to be the most ethical definition, I would absolutely say that. And hey, sounds like you're getting into philosophy, Croc. Look at you becoming a Phil bro.
Well, I was just curious. So you're essentially saying, like, so contextually speaking, you're making an argument that, well, actually not making an argument. So I'm just curious. So you do recognize that the ontological anchor here would be the female sex, correct?
Yeah. I'd say, well, no, it's going to be a couple things. It's going to be the gender identity being in alignment with the female sex.
Well, the gender identity wouldn't be ontological in the sense because it's not going to be in relation to, well, I would just argue that that's going to be like dealing with metaphysics, right? So I would understand ontology to be some sort of like...
what do you mean by metaphysics?
Well, metaphysics is just going to be like dealing within the realm of things that are not grounded in reality or general features of reality, right? So I'm asking you. I'm just curious.
I'd say that actually is grounded in reality, where we actually have empirics on that. I can acknowledge that gender identity on its own, just as intuition, happiness, or any of that other stuff is also going to be unfalsifiable, but we have ways of introducing empirics into that, creating a falsifiable, thus hence again why it is that the neuroanatomy studies are so important.
Well, sure. I don't want to really get into like the neuroanatomy. We can certainly do that. But...
Oh, so you want to run away from the empirics?
Well, no. I just
are you really just a Philbro now?
Down.
Is that what you've resolved down to?
Right. Hold on. We can go into the neuroanatomy. I think we've already done this on countless occasions. I'm trying to like have a conversation with you in regards to your definition of the word woman, right? So again, like I would just argue that the only ontological anchor that would be used in your definition would be in referring to the female sex, just because obviously there would be no way for you to actually substantiate gender identity. Now you could make an argument that these individuals, transgender people. Hold on, just really quick, just really quick. You could make an argument that you have some sort of unique brain phenotype, in which would be actually
we have a basis.
So what is this basis contingent upon?
Yeah, the basis is going to be contingent upon, again, these mega-analytic studies and showing the unique brain phenotype. And then also I have functional studies as well, of which shows that in terms of own body image perception is going to be in alignment of their experienced gender identities rather than their birth.
Hold on, Alyssa, I can't hear you. I can't hear you because of the... Yeah, sorry, I cannot hear you because of the... Yes, gay. So what were you saying?
Yeah, so I also have functional studies that show that both transgender people and cisgender people, how their brains operate in terms of own body image perception is going to be more in alignment of their experienced gender rather than their birth assigned sex. Well, then again, for cisgender people, it already is in alignment with their birth assigned sex. But when viewing their own bodies morphed opposite of their birth assigned sex, their brains actually operated much more similar to that of a transgender person. So, hey, check that out.
Yeah, so let's check this out. So I'm actually familiar with the meta-analytic findings that you're talking about, right? And essentially what it was a study that examined brain structure in unmedicated transgender men and women. This was going to be before hormone treatment, and there was over 800 participants. It's actually the largest imaging data set we have in this field. You agree?
Yep.
Yeah, so this study shows patterns of brain volume and surface area, right? It's going to be across different brain regions. And it found that transgender groups sometimes resembled their sex, and then neither men and women, or neither men and women instead of forming like unique patterns, right? So that would go into like your argument that you would substantiate that transgender individuals have some sort of unique brain phenotype. I'll grant you that, right?
Yep.
So the key point here is that within this study, they explicitly describe 5 structural patterns for GMV, and then there's going to be 4 patterns for cortical surface area, and they emphasize that transgender groups sometimes have distinct configurations, but they're not consistently male typical or female typical. Do you agree?
Yep, I agree.
Okay. So I would just say that this study is not making a claim that trans people have a unique brain phenotype because of gender dysphoria or because of some sort of incongruity. Would you agree?
Wait, no, I didn't agree with that. So tell me again what the variable versus the control was.
Just really quickly, I'm going to finish my statement, but I will do that for you. Just give me 1 second. So I would say that the authors in this particular, in this particular study, they never argue that gender dysphoria causes these differences, nor do they claim that the differences cause gender identity. Is that correct?
I'd say yeah.
Okay, so that proves my point, but I'm going to go ahead and move on just really quickly. But I will.
No,
I will.
that does not.
Hold on. It does. It does. It does prove my point. Hold on.
Just going to answer my question.
And I am going to answer your question, but just really quick. I said, does the study?
I want you to pivot.
Hold on. No, you're not going to do that. Hold on.
Hold on. The question right now.
Hold on. Give me a second. I'm going to do that. But give me a second.
We're not going to return back to this.
This isn't about steamrolling. I was still talking. That's the issue, right? I'm asking you very direct questions. This isn't time for you to cross-examine me, right? So I asked you. I said, does this study say that trans people have the unique brain phenotype because of gender dysphoria, or I said, is this study claiming that trans people have a unique brain phenotype because of gender dysphoria or because of incongruity? You said that was the case. And then I also asked you a follow-up question. I said, did they argue that gender dysphoria causes these differences? Or I said that the authors concluded that gender dysphoria does not cause these differences, nor do they claim the differences cause gender identity. And you said that is the case. So I don't know what you're asking me to do, but give me 1 second. I'm going to finish and land my plane.
What was the final statement of the study?
Hold on, I'm going to land my plane shortly, right? So the introduction is going to, right? The introduction is going to state very plainly that it is unclear whether transgender individuals resemble their birth sex or gender identity neurobiologically, right? And this study does not claim a causal mechanism. It only describes associations, but not origins,
it doesn't
right?
Need a causal mechanism.
On. It does not say, just really quick, it does not say that gender dysphoria reshapes the brain. It does not say that gender identity reshapes the brain. And it does not say that cross-sex identity is caused by atypical neuroanatomy, right? The results show unique structural...
Have you lost that much critical thinking, Croc?
Hold on. Just allow me to finish, right? So the results are going to show unique structural patterns, not opposite sex brains. I know that you... Right? Okay. So in this source, they say that transgender men and women may have their own unique neurobiological phenotypes, which essentially just means, for people who don't know, is that their brain patterns are not simply male-like or female-like, but mixtures or unique configurations, right? So I just want to highlight what this source actually does prove, right? It does prove that transgender people show some structural brain differences compared to men and women. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. It also proves that these differences are region-specific, inconsistent, and do not map cleanly onto male and female patterns. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. It also proves that before hormone treatment, transgender groups often showed mixed or unique brain patterns rather than resembling the opposite sex. Would you agree?
Yes, I would.
Okay, awesome. Now let me ask you this. Does it prove that gender identity is biologically caused by a brain phenotype?
It doesn't directly say that, but I can give you a direct quote from the article.
Okay, hold on. I just line of questioning here. Okay, does it prove?
Can I not give a direct quote?
No. You absolutely can, but I just want to go through these lines of questions for you. Does it prove that gender dysphoria itself causes these neural differences?
Say that one more time.
Yes. Does it prove that gender dysphoria itself causes these neural differences?
It doesn't directly say that, but within looking at the variable versus the control, we can make that inference.
Okay. Does it state or does it prove that transgender individuals have the brains of the opposite sex?
No, it does not.
Okay. Does it prove that these structural variations determine gender identity?
It directly states, in sum, this is the first large-scale and well-powered study of structural neuroimaging data in transgender persons. The outcomes of our study highlights the underlying neurobiology of gender identity.
Hold on, so that doesn't answer my question.
Questions to be followed up in regards to neurodevelopment, genetic and hormonal factors.
Right, but the issue here, right, is that what I'm asking you now is that, well, no, not what I'm asking you. The issue is that it's presupposing gender identity, right? So I asked you just very directly.
How is it presupposing?
It's presupposing it in the sense that it doesn't know, like, it's not going to be based on like some sort of like physical claim, right? Like it's not going to be based on reality in a sense, right? There's no way to measure it, unfalsify it. It's unfalsifiable.
Physical structures,
right? Hold on, it's unfalsifiable. And then the variable, again, being transgender participants who have diagnoses of gender incongruence and gender dysphoria, and comparing that to a control of that being cisgender people. Say that one more time.
Ooh, the critical thinking.
Oh, it's not critical thinking. Just restate your question.
Yeah, so did it not say that the variable, and again, was the variable,
Alyssa thought he ate.
Being transgender persons diagnosed with gender incongruence as per the ICD-10 and the DSM-5 TR, and then comparing that to the control, that being cisgender participants,
Manless getting cooked by Croc.
Within that, they literally it literally stated in the direct end of the study that the outcomes of our study highlight the underlying neurobiology of gender identity. Does it say that or does it not? Or
it says that, it says that, but it's presupposing that gender identity exists. So my question for you,
okay, hold on, awesome.
Right? So
you can't think critically. Good
right?
To know.
So my next question for you would be. No, so my next question for you would be, is that if it's the case that everything I just read out to you is true, right? And then it's not actually proving these things to be accurate, right? So my next question...
It doesn't have to prove, it gives a basis.
Right, but the key takeaway
here is to help us understand something better.
Sure, but the
that's
key
where
takeaway...
you're going wrong in this. This is where you're strawmanning the study.
No, hold on. This is what's happening. You're overstating the study, right? So the key takeaway
How am I
here...
overstating it?
Hold on, yeah, sure. The key takeaway is here is that I agree with you, Alyssa, in the fact that brain differences in transgender people do exist, right? But the issue is that they're going to be inconsistent, non-causal, and they're not sex typical, right? They cannot be used to prove that gender identity is... Hold on, just really quick.
That's overstating.
They cannot be used to prove that gender identity is biologically innate, or that transgender people have the brains of the opposite sex, or that it's going to like somehow. Say that
on the study?
What's that?
You're inferring that's on the study now. Who's the one overstating this? Because it sounds like you're the one actually overstating this. So with that being said,
hold on. What was the overstate?
Does it directly say
that? What did I overstate?
Yeah, the overstatement. Yeah, the overstatement is that you're inferring that the study did not say these things, or that's already inferring that when the study literally says it directly in there. How am I overstating anything?
Hold on, I can't hear you.
To them. You literally...
The outcomes of our study highlight the underlying neurobiology of gender identity. Does it say that, yes or no?
That's a presupposition.
How's that presupposition based on the controls and the variable?
Wait. The presupposition that gender identity exists,
based on the controls and the variable?
Highlights. I don't think you understand. The presupposition is that gender identity exists. I don't think you guys understand. And this highlights what we believe, right? This highlights what we believe is going to be a physical, like some kind of reference or highlight of said presupposition. Crocodile asked you a series of questions. You agreed to them, and now you're saying no.
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
Well, it just doesn't make sense, right? Because this is going to align like with the consensus and systematic reviews, right? Like the findings are going to be inconclusive. They're highly heterogeneous. They have a large overlap with men and women, and it's not going to be it's not going to be used as some sort of diagnostic tool, right? So what I'm saying for you is you could make some sort of argument that I wouldn't be able to contend with.
Yeah, I agree. It's not.
Hold on. But I'm granting you that you could make an argument that transgender individuals have some sort of unique brain phenotype. What you couldn't do is use that as some sort of basis for gender identity, because once again, gender identity, gender identity, just really quickly, gender identity is going to be something that's going to be presupposed, right? A basis is just going to, yeah, sure. A basis is just going to be some sort of, yes, sure. It's going to be like a foundation for like an argument or a process, something along those lines, right? It's going to be like a foundation for you to build your argument
upon. Is this not a foundation? Is this not a foundation in us being able to understand the underlying neurobiology of gender identity?
It's
looking at the control versus the looking at the controls versus the variables. Yes or no?
No.
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 You guys are so.
Oh my God.
You guys are so dumb.
I'm sorry, I missed the joke. I missed the joke. I'm so sorry, Chad. I missed the joke.
Sorry, I missed the joke. I can't take it.
No, I missed the joke. I didn't.
Yeah.
I missed it.
The joke is you guys are so fucking brainwashed.
That's
you guys
terrifying.
Can't even correctly or read a study as it directly states. That's hysterical.
But I want to make a point here that like your original definition of the word woman, like in reference to like the ontological anchor being the female sex, how would you? So if you were to define the word female, right, I would just be curious how this gender identity would be like contingent upon the female sex if you have a male body.
Yeah, so that would come down to how the brain actually recognizes its physical body. of which that's going to be in alignment with own body image processing. And then also I have studies in regards to the somatosensory cortex in references to transgender men.
What?
He's so predictable.
You heard me.
He's so predictable. He's just gone back to brain mapping again. He's so predictable. This is an NPC on steroids, everyone.
Yeah, I would just argue that, like, if you're defining, right, like, I would just say it's like uninformative in the sense that you're like defining a woman as someone whose gender identity is going to be in alignment with the female sex, but it relies on the very concept.
How do you guys define a woman by their bodies, by being baby makers and incubators? Hello?
It's just relying on the very concept you're trying to explain, which would be like the female sex. You're essentially just saying a woman is someone who is a woman in their own mind, which doesn't tell us what the category actually refers to. So if gender identity alone determines womanhood, then perception, behavior, or self-description could override your biological reality, which makes the category unstable and arbitrary. So
you guys are so disingenuous. And Croc, you know what? I honestly feel bad for you. And know what? They're literally, like, we're in the midst of a fucking genocide right now. So congrats on contributing to that. Yes.
Wait, T people
with that being said,
wait, just very quickly. T people are being genocided.
You guys are literally trying to take away our healthcare, our ability to participate within public life.
Guess what?
So, yes, you guys absolutely are. That's hence why I am fighting tooth and nail.
That's a skill issue.
So, with that being said, again, I literally have studies for that. Man, look at you getting so mad that I'm literally